No, I guess I thought South Africa would be up and down. I'm kind of expecting, I may be completely mistaken, but Namibia to be flat. But we'll see. I might be surprised there.
Namibia is tough. It has its own reward, kind of immediately, as in the landscapes are unlike anywhere I've ever been, at least. Just between the sand dunes and then like mountains that come directly out of the sand, it almost reminds me of the way that glaciers poke out of an ice field, but with sand and then super rocky mountains, which I think is pretty unique to the Namibian landscape. But the cycling is really tough. It's, almost been entirely gravel.
The whole remoteness of this part of Namibia, and just to be able to go for tens of kilometers or without seeing hardly any vehicles and hardly any people. It's so vast.
If we took the main paved road through Namibia, you'd miss like world-class sites. Like we were just in a really important dune site, and Dead Filet, which is a really unique dune area with a dry riverbed that has these trees that have totally dried up on the spot and have just stayed up in place. And it's a really just stark kind of landscape. And if we just took the paved road all the way from Namibia to the Botswana border, you'd miss so much of that kind of wide open landscape that makes Namibia really unique.
I think when you look at it in hindsight, like today was a hard day riding, and at the time when you're doing it, you're thinking, man, this is hard. But when you're finished, you look back on it and say, it was a really good experience.
It is called the Elephant Highway because it is a highway, it's tarred, and there are elephants. So most of it goes through a national park, and not just elephants, but there'll be giraffe, impala, ostriches, but especially loads of elephants.
Well, there's a lot of wildlife, one of them being elephants.
The thing about this riding in Botswana, particularly on the Elephant Highway, so far we've had Namibia. It's clearly a physical challenge, no question. But I think this is a mental challenge because there's not a lot, there's no stops. There's not a lot to look at until you suddenly see something like an elephant or some other animal. Otherwise, you're just pedaling along, and it is a little bit challenging in that regard. Mentally, it's challenging, but all that pales when you suddenly come across either some kind of wildlife or other, and you stop and just marvel at it and get going.
I think it's 100% what's keeping people motivated. They've been battling pretty nasty headwinds, and it's like the carrot at the end of every day is like how much beautiful wildlife you get to see, and these really unique experiences with an elephant or a giraffe where you'll be cycling and then end up right beside one, and you don't get to be that close to most wildlife at any point in time.